Well, I just don't know what to say. I watched the president's speech last night and everybody coming out and saying he could go after us. He could just shut us down. Now that the Supreme Court has ruled, Donald Trump, if he is elected, he'll come in and he'll start putting people in jail. I want you to remember that here for just a second. We'll get back to it. Here's what the president had to say last night at a press conference. Scott 9.
The presidency is the most powerful office in the world. It's an office that not only tests your judgment, perhaps even more importantly, it's an office that tests your character.
Yes.
Because you not only face moments when you need the courage to exercise the full power of the presidency, you also face moments where you need the wisdom to respect the limits of the power of the office of the presidency.
Yes. Stop there for a second. So, Stu, what would some of those limits be? Because it's an awesome responsibility to be president of the United States, but you can't just do anything, right? What would some of the limits be? You couldn't just go out and kill people, right?
I don't know. That's not what I've been hearing, Glenn, over the past 24 hours. My understanding is the Supreme Court gave a James Bond license to kill to the president of the United States.
No, I don't think that's true, but we'll continue to listen.
Yeah,
really?
Immune.
I didn't hear the whole speech, so we'll go on. I was thinking something smaller, maybe you say, hey, you've got student loans. I can't help you with those. That would be the constitutional thing. But the president couldn't just say, I'm going to just, forgive all student loans. Right?
Well, yeah. You're thinking of the old-timey America. There was a version of America where the head of the executive branch couldn't just spend $500 billion on a whim without Congress. But those days are long gone, Glenn.
Okay, but it would go to the Supreme Court. If it was wrong, it would go to the Supreme Court, and then they'd tell the president to stop, and he would.
Shoot it down. No, he would just do it again.
Oh, yeah. It went to the Supreme Court already.
Yeah, and they shot it down.
The Supreme Court. That's weird.
Yeah, so then he just did it again, and then, but in a slightly different way, 1% different, and then sends it up through the courts again, and again, it's going to get rejected again. But then he'll just do it again.
Right.
Change
so
it by
that's weird.
1%.
It's an awesome power, and it shows character. When you restrain yourself from doing those things that you can't do. Anyway, I digress. Back to the president.
To respect the limits of the power of the office of the presidency. Limits. This nation was founded on the principle that there are no kings in America.
Right.
Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law.
Okay, stop for a second. Stop for just a second here. Stu, are we all equal under the law right now? I mean, is that true?
Doesn't seem
for instance,
true. Mm-hmm.
If you were held in contempt of Congress, right, you'd go to jail, right?
Yeah.
Steve Bannon just went to jail yesterday.
Sure.
Another Trump advisor who said, no, I can't share that. That's executive privilege. They sent him to jail.
Navarro, yeah.
But it's all equal, right? I mean, let's say somebody was not releasing tapes of testimony, and they say, well, that was executive privilege, and they're in contempt of Congress, they go to jail as well, right?
No. I don't know what you're talking about specifically, but what you just described does not sound at all like something that you would go to jail for.
Let's say that you were the head of the DOJ.
Right.
And Congress said, you have to produce this information, and then you didn't,
right?
You would be in contempt of Congress.
Oh, no.
No, you don't go to jail?
No. That doesn't seem like a jailable offense at all. It's I can see where you're getting confused here. For example, if you were to riot at a federal building, right? That's something you'd go to jail for. It's wrong. Right. You don't do those things.
Right.
Unless
it's the darkest day.
Yeah, and then there's another separate scenario where, let's say you were to riot at a federal building, you don't go to jail for that.
But wait, there was just a federal building.
Well, if you riot at a federal building, you're going to jail. But if you're just simply rioting at a federal building,
then you don't go to jail.
You don't go to jail.
So is it kind of like, because it's a very subtle difference, it's kind of like when you're praying in front of an abortion clinic, you go to jail. But if you burn down an abortion clinic, you don't go to jail.
Depends on, are you burning it down because they're not doing enough abortions? If you burn it down because they're not frequently aborting enough kids, then yes, you do not go to jail. But if you burn it down because you think they're doing too many abortions, then obviously you go to jail.
Okay, so if you burn down an abortion clinic, you would go to jail if you disagreed with them. But if you burn down the people's business where they were pro-life, you also go to jail.
They're pro-life, the owners of the business? Yeah, no, you would not go to jail for that. Why would you go to jail for that? That's
okay.
Stupid.
I just want to make sure that I understand equal justice under the law, that we're all judged exactly the same. Now I think we have it. All right, go ahead with President Biden.
Not even the President of the United States. Today's Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity, that fundamentally changed. For all practical purposes, today's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits on what a president can do. Wow. It's a fundamentally new principle.
Yeah.
And it's a dangerous precedent. Because the power of the office will no longer be constrained by the law, even including the Supreme Court of the United States.
Wow. Stop just a second. That is news, isn't it? I mean, especially to the Supreme Court. That is news, that no matter what the president does, even if it breaks the law, you're not going to have to pay a price for it. I didn't know that. See, what the left is afraid of right now is what they're saying is he's going to silence speech. Donald Trump will silence any dissent. And that's not happening now. Or he would put his former allies, his former foes in jail. For instance, let's say you're running against a guy who Donald Trump didn't think he could beat, then he would just make up some charges and then get the guy arrested and then keep him, in the court system until you finally got him into jail. That's what Trump could do. Trump could do that because of yesterday's rulings. So that's pretty frightening. I think if we're really going to go all the way, what should be terrifying is that Donald Trump could just round up a whole group of people because he didn't like them. You know what I mean? Just round them up and then put them like in a concentration camp, kind of like FDR did with the Japanese. And that wouldn't be illegal. He'd get out of office and he'd never pay the price that FDR had to pay.
Which was, named our best president?
Well, yeah, that's
over and
weird.
Over again by historians.
That's weird. Yeah, the guys who violate these are always the progressives. Always. The deep progressives are the ones who violate all these things. Now, when it comes to just killing people or doing something illegal, the Supreme Court case laid out it must be constitutional. So if the president acts in an unconstitutional way, then you can get him. But unless it's unconstitutional, he can't do it. So it would be unconstitutional to round up the people that disagreed with you. It would be unconstitutional to silence those who oppose you. It would be unconstitutional to go after your opposing political foe and try to put them in jail. All things that Joe Biden is currently doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. This ruling is coming from Roberts, who's an institutionalist, right? Like, if anything, we've complained about him a million times because he's so unwilling to shake up things just because, it happens to be the constitutional way. I mean, right. Obamacare is a great example of that. Like, it's going to shake things up, and I don't want to give the impression that we're, too impactful on society. He's always doing these things. And that's, in a way, what this ruling is. What he's saying is, hey, we shouldn't have. I mean, in a way, it's designed specifically to protect Joe Biden, because everybody knows if there's no immunity, what do you think Donald Trump's going to do when he's president of the United States after what he's just been through? He's going to go in there and find every little thing that he can and go after Joe Biden on it. He promised to do it with Hillary. He didn't do it. He now says he regrets not doing it. And now they've done it to him. So you think he's just going to sit back and be like, let me show you what I'm going to do as president. It's a shoulder shrug. I don't think that's the way that's going to go down.
Okay,
in a way, Roberts is protecting both sides from this back and forth that could easily come.
However, what the president has done is not constitutional, and he should go to jail, not for the things that he's done in office. I disagree with all of his policies. The whole thing of, taking away your student loans and things like that, that's unconstitutional, but I don't think that's something that you go after. However, the business dealings with China, I think that should be prosecuted.
At least as far as we know. That didn't
happen while he was president.
Right, as far as we know, none of that happened while he was president, so that wouldn't be covered by this at all. But what I think Roberts is doing here is just setting a high bar. Of course, you can go after a president for the worst things in the world. However, there's a high bar for you to clear, so don't bother bringing up your BS nonsense every 10 seconds because it's not going to work. That's beyond the fact that we all knew what he said was true. Official acts have immunity for. Like, you're not able under the law, Glenn, to kill people, right? Like, you couldn't send a drone to go start murdering people in other countries. The president, with his powers as commander-in-chief, has powers that we don't have, right? Like, we all know that. There is some sort of implied immunity for official acts. So we all knew that. We all knew unofficial acts would not be covered here. There's nothing new in this ruling. It was blatantly obvious, yet they have to do this charade every single time and act, gosh, SEAL Team 6 might come and just start being utilized to kill people. How many different layers of checks and balances would have to, including SEAL Team 6 just going along with this, which they would not be covered to do. They would all get prosecuted. They'd all be put in prison. Yep. But we're supposed to believe that Donald Trump would be completely fine for doing this. It's insanity.
All right. Well, let me just end with this. As the president is saying this, two things happened yesterday. Christian pro-life father of 11 is now facing over a decade in prison. He's going to be sentenced today. Okay, for a peaceful protest in Tennessee. It was a violation of the FACE Act. They were praying in the hallway. What he said yesterday is this, quote, "It's real easy for me. I can go to battle and go to jail as an individual, and it's not a big loss. The challenge comes when you're leading your family through it, when you're talking to your 3-year-old and your 23-year-old and your other family." Vaughn said that he wanted to pray to God, quote, "every day and get up ready to take on the day with whatever circumstances come my way, with a humility and a grace and a spirit-led life that represents all of us in our society and represents him and our community around us." How many politicians order their life after truth and justice versus power, greed, negotiation, and negotiating principles? So here's a guy who said, I believe what I believe. God will be with me. I'm going to go to jail. At the same time, Bannon also went to jail for a contempt of Congress. There are now 15 people in the Biden administration that have been deemed in contempt of Congress. None of them are being prosecuted, but Donald Trump's people are. Bannon said this, and I don't like Bannon. Okay, I don't agree with Bannon on everything. I think he's a thought leader that I really strongly disagree with many times. But he should not be going to jail. He said, "I am proud to go to prison. If this is what it takes to stand up to tyranny, if this what it takes to stand up to the corrupt criminal DOJ, if this is what it takes to stand up to Nancy Pelosi, if this what it takes to stand up to Joe Biden, then I am proud to do it." You have people crying that they might go to prison while they're putting people in prison for the things that they have done themselves. Please, Mr. President, don't talk to me about out-of-control tyranny from the Supreme Court. They've done exactly the opposite. They have protected the presidency while they are dismantling the administrative state.